Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers, away from the numbers.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. There's still time. The AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio 101.9 FM from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. I'm your host, Michael McCall, and I'm flying partly solo for this episode. I will be bringing you some Whitecaps chat and interviews in part 1 and part 4. Zach will be joining me for parts 2 and 3 for another big feature interview. We'll get into all of that in a second, but we've got a lot of football chat to bring you once again, and this is a very Whitecaps-centric episode as we bring you 3 interviews this time around. We're going to be bringing you part 2, if you want to call it that, of our chat with Whitecaps head coach Jesper Sorensen. Last time out, we chatted about his journey to Vancouver, his coaching background, Danish football, and found out a little bit more about the man behind the coach that you see on the sidelines. And I said I kind of shied away from our chat last week from getting too much into the current state of the Whitecaps, the tactics, what new additions might be coming in, what we can expect from Jesper Sorensen's team this season. And I said once they're back in Vancouver, the training gets underway here, we will bring you a little bit more from Jesper, and that's what we're going to do in this part, as I got a chance to catch up with Jesper for a one-on-one at training up at UBC on Wednesday, just to talk about all those things. And it was great to see the team on the pitch in action for the first time as well. They had, when they were back doing their medicals, the first pre-season media availability of the year, but they weren't on the pitch that day. So it was quite interesting to kind of take it all in on the pitch and see how the new guys were slotting in. Have to say, very impressed with Jaden Nelson. He was looking quite sharp, linking up really nicely with Brian White and Ryan Gauld. Gauldy himself had a couple of bangers that he tucked away. One player that really stood out for me was midfielder JC Gando as well. So he was on loan last year in the USL with Las Vegas Lights. Runners-up, got to the championship game as well. And he was looking very good from what I saw on Wednesday at the chilly conditions up at UBC. So I think he's one to keep an eye on this year. And also got the chance to see in action for the first time Emmanuel Sabe, another player that looked sharp and hungry at training. And I got a chance to sit down with him for the first time as well on Wednesday. And we'll bring you that interview in part 4. Zach will be joining me in parts 2 and 3 for our big double feature interview this episode. It's a 50-minute chat that we're bringing you over those 2 parts with former Whitecaps captain Kendall Waston, who the Whitecaps will be going up against in their first competitive game of the year down in Costa Rica on Thursday when they take on Deportivo Saprissa in CONCACAF Champions Cup action, before Kendall and the Costa Rican side come to Vancouver and a return to BC Place a week later. And that's an interview you will not want to miss. We chat about a lot about Kendall's footballing career so far, playing at 2 World Cups, his time here in Vancouver, his somewhat controversial end to his time here in Vancouver as well. We'll get into all the things I'm sure you're going to want to talk about. You won't want to miss it. Had a very fun time chatting to Kendall, and hopefully when he does return to BC Place next week, he'll get a good reception from the bulk of the fans here. We'll also chat about some other Whitecaps news of the week as well. Before we get into all of that, just want to give a big shout out and congratulations to Cavalry FC, who put in one hell of a battling performance on Thursday night, going down to Mexico and taking Pumas all the way, making them sweat a little bit, going into the second leg of their CONCACAF Champions Cup tie with a 2-1 lead. They knew it was going to be difficult to hang on. They held on. It was 0-0 going into the second half. It looked like Charlie Trafford had got sent off, and then that was reversed on VAR. And then just before half-time, former Whitecap Jay Herdman did pick up a red card, this time on a VAR review, which gave away a penalty, which Marco Carducci superbly saved before a second-hand brace for Pumas from Martinez sunk the 10-man Cavs. But they did themselves proud, they did the CPL proud, they did Canada proud as well, and it was a fantastic battling performance, hopefully one the Whitecaps can learn from. And the Whitecaps know now as well, if they get past Deportivo Saprissa, they will indeed be taking on another Mexican giant, Monterrey, who easily got past Forge on aggregate in the end, and that one will be coming up in March. So fingers crossed that they can get the job done in Costa Rica and then back at BC Place and advance into the next round of the Champions Cup. Whitecaps also officially revealed their new home kit for the season on Thursday. The Peak jersey was unveiled. Fans got the chance to see it at the season ticket event later on that evening, and it's been met with a good reception. I've got to say, when I first saw it, I quite liked it. The one thing I really didn't like about it was the kind of inverted stripes at the side. But the more I've seen it and look at some of the little intricacies on it, I really do like it. I like that the red has gone from the hoop. I like the 2 different shades of blue. Keeping the hoop as well, I think, is fantastic. The moving of the hoop as well onto the arm, all the little touches, the little pattern through it, the VWFC down at the bottom. Really, really liking this jersey, and it has gone down well. How will it compare when we do our usual annual Battle of the Kits, where we pick our top 5 and our worst 5? We'll do that next time that Zach is on the show, so probably next weekend's. Might have another show coming out later this week as well after the Saprissa game, depending if we get a few things done. But we'll have Zach back talking kits later on this month as well. Let us know what you think of the new Peak jersey, and I think 2 very strong Whitecap kits released this month, because meant to mention a couple of shows ago and then we just run out of time as well, the Black History Month kit that they brought out at the start of February as well. That is something special. So 2 very good kits for all you kit nerds out there in the Whitecaps fan base. So that was one of the big news items of the week for the Whitecaps, and the other was the Whitecaps have 2 new players officially announced, with another one on the way. We'll come to that one later on, but we'll talk about the 2 that have been officially announced right now. On Tuesday, after a couple of days, maybe weeks of rumours, American Ghanaian winger Emmanuel Sabi has joined the Whitecaps from French Ligue 1 side Le Havre. Born in Italy, Sabi moved to America with his family aged 5, came through the youth setups out in Ohio, had a chance to go to Akron University. In the end, decided to head over to Europe, fulfill his dream, went to the Las Palmas Academy over in Spain, signed a pro deal in Denmark in 2017, played 6 seasons altogether in the Denmark Superliga, first of all with Hobro, then with Odense. His form with Odense, where he got 21 goals and 14 assists in 89 appearances for the side known as OB, that earned him a move to a top 5 league, heading over to France with Le Havre. Made 49 appearances for the French side, 25 of them starts, 5 goals and 1 assist. Didn't quite light it up the way that he did in Denmark, but when he was in Denmark, obviously caught the eye of new Whitecaps head coach Jesper Sorensen, going up against him for his side over the years. Sorensen knows a lot about Sabi, was keen to bring him in to the Whitecaps fold when Axel Schuster asked him for his thoughts. Sabi as well, keen to try his hand in MLS for the first time, coming to Vancouver, wanting to reignite that fire in his belly that he had in Denmark. Very much a little bit like the Jayden Nelson situation as well, who had lit it up in Scandinavia before, not quite doing it over in Germany. So 2 wingers keen to prove what they've got, and that's what you want as a Whitecaps fan. You want those guys hungry to show what they can do in a Whitecaps jersey. And he is going to be using a lot of his squad. And I mentioned one of the new additions to the squad, Emmanuel Sabi. Don't want to say less important addition, but he is the 4th goalkeeper, the new Joe Bendick for this season. It was announced on Friday that the Whitecaps have added veteran goalkeeper Adrian Zendeas, who's had 136 appearances playing pro in the US and Sweden. In the 2024 season, played over in Sweden with Skövde AIK, playing 27 games, keeping 7 clean sheets. He's won 2 USL Western Conference titles with Swope Park Rangers, the second team of Sporting Kansas City, winning a US Open Cup as well with Sporting KC. He's been on the books for Sporting KC, Nashville, Minnesota, Charlotte. So he has got experience in and around MLS circles. He has only ever played in one MLS match, which was for Sporting KC back in 2019. But he's coming to the Whitecaps as the 4th keeper, the experienced backup. And some folk may have been a little bit surprised when they saw that. I mean, he's a very good keeper and he's really performed well when I've seen him play at USL level. But it's going to be a lot like last season. Isaac Boehmer is the number 2. He's battling it out with Yohei Takaoka for the number 1 jersey. You have to feel Yohei has got that as the experienced guy now under the new coach. Isaac will be playing a lot of games for WFC too. So the weekends where he's playing and starting those games, you're going to see Zendeas on the bench. When he's not, and maybe Max Anker starting those games, Isaac Boehmer will be on the bench. So it makes sense from that point of view. I think if anything was to happen to Yohei getting injured, Boehmer would be the guy that would be taken over. So a good experienced addition. You've got your quartet now of goalkeepers. Still do wonder if they might look at putting Max Anker out on loan just so he can get more regular minutes and maybe be a regular starter somewhere, whether that is in the CPL, USL or wherever. So as I mentioned, we got our first chat with Emmanuel Sabi at training on Wednesday. We'll bring you that in the final part of the show. But for now, we're going to bring you the first of our 3 featured interviews that we have in this episode. And it's with the new Whitecaps head coach, Jesper Sorensen. Going to talk a little bit about the current state of the team, tactics, Emmanuel Sabi's addition, what he knows of the player, and can we expect some more additions soon? Where would he like to strengthen the team? How are those additions going to work in the Sorensen era? So a lot to chat about there. So let's hear now from the gaffer. So, Jesper, I know we had a big chat last week, but there was a couple of things about the current team that I didn't really ask you, so we'll kind of get into that now. I mean, first of all, you've got a new player, Emmanuel Sabi. It's a player that you obviously know from your time in Denmark, going up against him. So, I mean, what was behind the thinking of bringing him into the team?
Yeah, I think that what we know about him is that he's an exciting player who can do something on his own, but also he's a very honest player, working hard for the team all the time. Had some great years in Denmark. Now, then he moved to France, where he played on a team and did well. Where they struggled, especially in this season. And we had the opportunity. Then we were not hesitant to go for it. So I think. I hope that we're going to see an exciting player. He's fast. He can dribble. He can assist to his teammates, but also score himself. So I think it's a good offensive addition to the squad that we already have.
The last couple of seasons here, like the previous coach wasn't a huge fan of wingers. But last season it was the wing play that really kind of brought a lot out of the team. So you've got Jaden now, you've got Emmanuel. What can we expect playing style from you? Are you a coach that likes to use that wing without giving too much away?
No, I don't care about giving that away. If we have the quality on the wingers, then we can use them. If we don't, then we'll have more inwarded play. I would like players to be able to combine, but also be able to break through on the sides, of course. Now we have added a couple of types that can do that. Jaden is good at breaking through on his own, going one-on-one as well. Sabi the same. Emmanuel maybe more a little bit combining than going on his own. We have Ali as well, who can also take upon the direct opponent one-on-one. So that's always good to have. We have other players that are more combining players, like Goldie on the inside, Pedro. Players like that, so we can do things different ways. Wingers is good to have if they're good enough. That's how it is. Yeah, and of course that's a good option always. We need wide players that can also break through and give us the crosses, and also we spread the game out, not only playing narrowly. So it's. Football is always balance and of course the quality. So that's what we'll do. We cannot only rely on wingers because then the opponent will close it down. But if they close down the centre, it's good to have guys that can go one-on-one. So it's all about the balance in the team.
Axel, when he spoke to one of the papers here last week, had said maybe still looking to add another couple of pieces. Is there any areas from what you've seen so far that you feel you need to maybe strengthen a little bit?
Overall, general, of course, we want to be as strong as possible, but we will look into it. I've been quite happy with what I've seen in Spain in general, but of course, if we can add something. Here and there, and we can strengthen the squad and the roster as much as possible. That's what we want to do in the end here. I'll not say in particular areas where it's all about the quality we can get in. If we cannot get the right players in, okay, then we have good players already. If we can get the players that can help us develop and get the team better, then these are the players we need.
How is it working now in that regard? Because it's worked differently here over the many years.
It's very much different than what I'm used to. Yeah. We have the thing with the domestic players. We have the thing with the salary cap, which is quite different from what I'm used to. So I also have to get into it. So maybe it's better that I don't get it too involved, right?
Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask. It's like, so are you able to say, okay, I'm just going to pick a position, just like I want a central midfielder?
Yeah.
Or I know this guy from Denmark, or I know this guy, can we go after him? Is that how it's working at the moment? Or?
No, it's not the way it works. It works the way that, of course, I know some players, but we have scout department and guys that knows a lot more players than I do. So we look for the quality and look for what's available, and sometimes the market also decides what's open, right? So we'll look out for what is available as well as what we need.
Just the last thing, you're back in Vancouver now. It's very different conditions to Spain. I know Denmark's not one of the coldest Scandinavian countries, but yeah, you're used to a little bit of snow. But is it nice being back?
Yeah, it's nice being here. I will not say nice being back because I was only here for a very short time. True. So it's nice being here finally, settling to a new environment and everyday life. Yeah, I think it's good to get going. Of course, the snow is what it is. I'm used to that can occasionally happen. We're looking forward to the pitches being green instead of white. But right now it's very beautiful. But we are here to prepare for the season and we would like the grass pitches to be green instead of white, but that's what it is.
Are you going to get a chance to explore the city actually before any of these games? Because they're coming thick and fast.
No, I don't think so.
Didn't think so either.
No, I don't think so. We figured it out. I hope I have the time to explore the city. I had this beautiful view yesterday from the apartment and over the Whitecaps surrounding the city. It's so beautiful. We can also see the top of them here, but I'll figure it out.
That's great. Thank you so much for your time. Nice to chat to you again.
He's the gaffer. You can't try it on with him. He's the gaffer. Even when he's on a limb. He's the gaffer. When his back's against the wall, has the answer to it all.
The gaffer, Jesper Sorensen, talking all things current Whitecaps after our big chat with him last week about his footballing journey, Danish football, and a lot of other stuff as well. So it is going to be interesting to see what a Jesper Sorensen team looks like on the pitch. We've learned a lot from the pre-season games, or as much as you can, when the team's kind of chopping and changing for 60 minutes, 75 minutes here and there. Watching it at training, as I said as well, the team all look hungry. They're moving the ball around very quickly as well. And this is a team that is wanting to push forward, high press, quick transition play, and it definitely looks like they've got the players there to do it up front. Solid defensive footing as well to build upon. Still feel there's some work needed in the middle of the park. And we won't have to wait too long to see what a Sorensen team looks like in competitive action with the Deportivo Saprissa game coming up on Thursday, before the first MLS match down in Portland on the Sunday. Now, if you haven't checked out Felipe Vallejo's pre-season analysis, really, of what Sorensen ball might look like over on AFTN, go and check that out after you listen to the show, aftn.ca. Felipe took in Whitecaps training on Thursday. Jesper also spoke to the assembled media on Thursday about a few things, and he was asked about the tactical side and what the Whitecaps might look like under the Dane. And I think we've seen from pre-season, he likes the 4-3-3, evolving into kind of 3-4-3 when they're on the ball and pushing forward. We've seen the wing-backs, whether that's Sam Adekugbe or Tate Johnson, going up, especially on the left-hand side. They definitely look like a team that like to attack up there. Not afraid to move the ball around the back line as well and just play the patient game, waiting for space to open up in any of the right channels, get the right ball to play forward to open up that space. On the defensive side, Ranko Veselinovic had commented that he felt that last season was good, but the team needed to be a little bit more aggressive, especially when they were higher up the field, and not allowing the opposition to counter-attack as much. And he felt that was a big problem that went against them last year. And he said that they need to kind of find a balance between playing reckless and just going a little bit gung-ho, which at times it did feel that they were doing in certain games under Vanni Sartini, and that they need to be a bit smart and play that smarter game. And he feels things are going well so far in training. From Sorensen's point of view, he wants the Whitecaps to be more fluid so that they're not just dependent on production from Ryan Gauld, production from Brian White, that they've got to be a team that can produce chances throughout from many different players, acknowledging that it's great that you've got Ryan Gauld producing scoring, you've got Brian White scoring as well. But you need to take some of the pressure on them. Plus, you know they're going to get heavily marked, so you want these other guys to step up. And I think a pleasing aspect of something that Sorensen, he said it in his introductory press conference, and he reiterated it again on Thursday at training, is that they have to be a team that's able to play different formations, because he knows that you're going to meet opponents that require something different. Sometimes, he says, opponents will have special players that you need to maybe take a little bit extra care of, or sometimes you need to have flexibility to do something new when under pressure, or just to mix things up a little bit to kind of surprise the opposition. So he says we will have to have different formations that we can turn to whenever we need it. We've got to start being flexible. We need to be solid in doing one thing before we can start adding other things. So I think the rigidity that we saw sometimes from Vanni Sartini, the zonal marking that I've spoken many times that I hate, I think are going to be something off the past. It won't maybe be gone forever, and you will see aspects of that, but I think we are going to move on to a different looking Whitecaps this year. And I think we might also see two different kind of, not just lineups as he touched upon before, but just kind of tactical approaches between the Saprissa games and the Portland game as well. A lot of travel in between those two games. But Sabi and Zendejas were the two official additions this week. And then news broke on Thursday. Manuel Veth had it first of all. And then doing a little bit of digging, confirmed it. The Whitecaps will be announcing a new forward this coming week. Experienced Mexican centre forward Daniel Rios flew into Vancouver on Thursday, undergoing medicals, and is set to be announced as the latest Whitecap this coming week. The forward, who came through the Chivas Academy in Guadalajara, has basically played pro since 2015, splitting his time between Mexico and the US. He's got experience in Major League Soccer with Nashville, Charlotte, and most recently, last year, he was on loan with Atlanta United. He's a proven goal scorer, and I think this is an absolutely fantastic addition for the Whitecaps. It's going to be a player that's going to challenge Brian White. He's going to come to the team, not probably as the starter, unless we're suddenly going for a two-striker system up front. He's going to be a guy that comes off the bench. He's going to be a guy that makes sure that if Brian White is not performing, he's there to push him all the way, something that Damir Kreilach wasn't really able to do last year. First came to MLS in 2020, played 18 games for Nashville, 8 of those starts, grabbing 4 goals. Only 1 goal the following season for Nashville. Made the move to Charlotte in 2022, where he had 7 goals and 2 assists in 27 appearances, 15 of those being starts. And then most recently in MLS with Atlanta United last year, and from his 24 appearances, 16 of those being starts, 7 goals, 4 assists, really found his form, found his groove with Atlanta last year. A lot of Atlanta fans commenting that's a great pickup for Vancouver. We've got a good player there. They're sorry to see him go. They'd have been happy if he'd stayed in Atlanta for the season to come. So I think it's a very good addition by the Whitecaps, and a player still with a lot of years on his side. He's only 29, turns 30 on February 22nd. So I think we've still got a lot to get out of him. And it will be great to see how he links up with Goldie, the wingers, and Sabi and Nelson as well. And it's a very exciting front line, I think, that the Whitecaps have. Obviously, I'm disappointed that it doesn't include Johnny Russell, but I do like what Axel Schuster and the scouting department have put together for the Caps this year. As I mentioned, I think that's solid. I think the defence is solid, the wing-backs, and I think we still need to get a key piece in the middle of the park just to kind of round that out. There was murmurs that the Whitecaps had maybe found that midfielder. Slovenian Tommy Horvat had been interested in the Caps. They did have a look at him. He's currently playing over in Europe in Austria with Sturm Graz, but that is not going ahead, at least not for now anyway. So this Slovenian not coming to Vancouver. But he's a 25-year-old international, plays for the Slovenian national team. He was looking to come in as a DP if he did come. So if that is the quality of talent that they're looking at for the middle of the park, then it gives me some hope going forward that they will fill that DP role with a quality player. So we'll have to see how all of that really plays out. So it's exciting times. It always is at the start of the season. It's a new coach. It's a new era. There's some new players. Some key players have moved on. We'll get to see what the Whitecaps look like on Thursday in Costa Rica, and then following that up with the rematch that we know the Timbers are going to be licking their lips at against Portland on Sunday, February the 23rd. I'll be down at that game already, looking forward to it. Let us know, Whitecaps fans, how you're feeling about the team just now. How are you feeling about the additions? Are you confident going into the season? AFTN Canada on Twitter, AFTN on Blue Sky, AFTN Canada at hotmail.com if neither of those things are for you. Would love to hear your thoughts. We'll delve into the mailbag in the next episode. We've got a lot more Whitecaps chat to come. But for now, but changing the subject matter completely, let's round off this part with our final Hot Chocolate Boy of 2025.
Hot chocolate boy, he's never had one. Hot chocolate bad one, hot chocolate boy.
It's that sad time of year. It's the last Hot Chocolate Boy of 2025, and joined once again by Hot Chocolate Girl herself, my lovely wife, Caitlin.
Hey, everyone.
So we've got one more Hot Chocolate Boy review to bring you. I'd hoped to have two. I had planned to go back out to Doe Girls on Wednesday after Whitecaps training. I wasn't really in a hot chocolate place. Crazy, I know. But I just wasn't feeling it on Wednesday, so sadly had to pass. I kind of maybe put that down to breaking my tooth the night before. Probably from too many sweet treats, but we'll move on from that. But I do have one more to bring you, which is a visit myself and Caitlin did last weekend on Saturday afternoon. So we headed out to Renfrew Heights in my neck of the woods in East Van on Rupert Street to La Saison de Patisserie. Look at me, speaking French. I really have embraced becoming a Canadian. And they had two drink offerings, and myself and Caitlin had one each. So it was on our long list because it was one of the ones nearest to our house, but it came recommended from Gail Embry. So wanted to head out there. Her pictures made it look fantastic. So we did head out. Caitlin had number 109, the Golden Phoenix. I had number 110 in the festival guide, the Quetzalcoatl. Now, Caitlin, yours was the Golden Phoenix, as I mentioned, a silky smooth hot chocolate made with their house-made chocolate ganache, topped with a salted duck egg yolk, and they describe it as a fusion drink that combines the rich and savoury flavour of salted egg yolk with the creamy sweetness of custard. It's served with a salted egg yolk palmier, and it's a fusion pastry, traditional French puff pastry with a mixture of creamy salted egg yolk sugar and a distinctive and decadent taste, they said, that paired beautifully with the flakiness of the puff pastry. So your thoughts on that one?
Well, I want to start, first of all, with the pastry, because I loved the pastry. It was delicious. It was flaky. It was buttery. It was yum. I don't know if I could taste any egg yolk sugar or anything like that, but as a palmier, it was really good. The hot chocolate, on the other hand, was quite underwhelming, and I was a little bit disappointed because I didn't really see any of the salted duck egg yolk custard cold foam except for a tiny, tiny drizzle over the top. It was topped with some really pretty gold, crunchy, edible pearls, so it was pretty, but it wasn't really anything overly exciting. And the drink kind of just brought down the whole thing. Like, I was quite disappointed, and it wasn't what I was expecting at all. I was expecting more salted egg yolk cold foam. That's kind of what I was going for. It was something different, something unique, something I hadn't really had before. And I'd seen from pictures on social media of the drink, there seemed to be a lot more of that kind of golden phoenix aspect of the drink. But me didn't really have any of that, so it marked it down.
Yeah, the picture that Gail sent me, it looked very different to the one that you got served up. And I don't know if they've maybe had to change it a little bit as the festival went on, maybe the cost, maybe they ran out of stuff, but it definitely looked very different to the pictures that we'd seen. I didn't fancy it to begin with. I had a little sip and I didn't like the taste. It wasn't for me. But we had very different experience there because mine, the Quetzalcoatl, was absolutely fantastic. Silky smooth, house-made chocolate ganache hot chocolate, paired with smoked paprika and hot pepper, topped with a light and rich chocolate espuma, served with a tagine palmier, a Mexican chili-like fusion pastry made, again, with the French puff pastry and tagine spices, combining sweet, sour, salty and heat with a subtle hint of chili flavour. It was an amazing treat. When you dipped it in the hot chocolate, you got some of the cream as well. Oh, absolutely fantastic. The hot chocolate as well is right up there for me. One of the best hot chocolates I've had in the whole festival. It had a nice spice to it, not too spicy. It wasn't like the one we'd had before at 49th Parallel, where it kind of, you got the kind of grinds a little bit from the spices in it. This was smooth, it was delicious, it was perfect heat, absolutely delicious. And I would go back there for a hot chocolate. Also want to go back and check out their cake selection and their coffees as well, because they all looked amazing. But it was definitely a very different visit for you and me.
Yeah, I think I said to you that I kind of wish I'd had yours, because yours did taste and look better.
But I'd certainly recommend checking out La Saison de Patisserie. They're at 3860 Rupert Street. They're quite new. I think they opened just towards the end of last year. They're open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. And yeah, that was our last hot chocolate festival visit together. And that one actually was our second most expensive one of the festival, coming in at $13.50. I mean, I feel that was good value. I definitely feel it was worth it for mine. Well, no, actually, it was probably a little bit too much just for a hot chocolate and a palmier. But when you go into patisserie, you do expect to pay a little bit more. But I didn't mind paying for it because it was delicious. Caitlin, so with her not enjoying it, didn't really feel kind of value for money. So that's all our visits done, Caitlin. Let's give our top three, and you can do this however you want. You can do it for combined, for the hot chocolate and the treats together. If you've got a specific hot chocolate like you love the most that you want to give a shout out, just tell us what your favourites were.
Okay, top three I think would have to be To Live For's second offering of the cinnamon bun hot chocolate, Melt Confectionery for their espresso ganache tart, and the hot chocolate itself was good too, but the pairing together was great. And then finally, Eternal Abundance's very banana-y, banana in pajamas hot chocolate. So 2 out of the 3 vegan options, surprisingly.
Yeah, interesting. Like for me as well, my number one overall is Melt Confectionery, their Biscoff hot chocolate, and I'm going to talk about that espresso ganache tart forever. It was just like so good. Definitely want to head back there, which is the whole point that these businesses are taking part as well. They want you to go, experience what they offer, and then hopefully come back and be regular customers. So certainly will be at Melt. My favourite actual hot chocolate, though, was the Quetzalcoatl from La Saison de Patisserie, and just because of the spice aspect. And the palmier was good, but it just drops to second. I think just because of the ganache tart from Melt, just pushes that one over the edge. And it's tough to go for my third one, but I think I will also go with To Live For's cinnamon bun one, because it was very good. It just edges out the banana-y one from Eternal Abundance, and it edges it out because I enjoyed the treat in To Live For, whereas I didn't enjoy the treat with Eternal Abundance. So that is our final hot chocolate boy. review of 2025. Thank you to everyone that sent in their photos and their reviews and their recommendations. It was great to see them all. And Diabetes Willing will be back with Hot Chocolate Boy in 2026. Can't wait.
Every girl yelling, wanting him to be the terror. Hot chocolate boy, he's a sensation. Hot chocolate nation, hot chocolate boy.
It's the last time you're going to hear that music for a year. Hot Chocolate Boy wraps up for 2025. Thanks to everyone, as mentioned, for sending in all of theirs. We'll get Zach's thoughts. He did make it out to Cafe Artigiano on Friday. So next time Zach's on the show, we will get him to give a little recap for that one. But that is it for this part. We are going to be back with our big feature interview in the next two parts, where we sit down with Whitecaps former captain Kendall Waston to chat about his time in Vancouver, his footballing journey and his career so far, and facing off against his former side in CONCACAF Champions Cup action. We'll be back with all of that after this episode's song from our album of the month.
Hi, I'm Jesper Sorensen, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Any minute now, Pop will eat himself.
Very much like scruffy pigs to look at. And they've got big knobbly warts and lumps all over their long, hairy faces. They are very, very ugly indeed.
Bam, 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 boogie, bam, bam.
Are you aware of the razor edge on which you're living?
Give me pleasure, give me thrills. We're moving too slow, now pop me some pills. Give me evil, give me sin. I'm one lucky devil, this is heaven I'm in. Give me yourself, give me the lot. Try some, buy some, stick it in the pot. Give me violence, give me respect.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's our album of the month for February. English band Pop Will Eat Itself. It's their debut album from 1987, Box Frenzy. And that was the opening track from it, Grebo Guru. And I mentioned when we did our first songs from the Poppies that they describe themselves as a Grebo band, which is kind of like a greaser band, long hair, kind of bit heavy metal, bit grungy before grunge. They transitioned more into a bit of a dancey band as well, which you will hear in Wavelength, because they've got two songs as well that we can feature in Wavelength. I've been keeping them until I had them as either a Artist of the Month or Album of the Month. So we're going to hear one of their two football-themed songs in part 4. But that was a Grebo Guru. And I think since there's a trip to Portland coming up, and we know what the Portland fans look like, probably smell like, I think, when you kind of see them on the telly, I think the start to that song is just absolutely perfect for them. And I have used the start of that song for previous shows many years ago when we were talking about the games against the Portland Timbers, and that will of course be the Whitecaps season opener in Major League Soccer play when they travel down the I-5 to Lower Cascadia, taking on the Timbers on Sunday, February the 23rd, 1 o'clock kickoff. It's a game that you just feel Phil Neville, the Timbers players, the Timbers army, all the Portland faithful will have circled on the calendar as soon as the fixtures came out. It's their chance for revenge after that 5-0 humiliation against the Whitecaps in the play-in game last year. A tough first league outing for new head coach Jesper Sorensen. Not his first game in charge of the Whitecaps, of course. That will come 2.5 days earlier down in San Juan de Tibas in Costa Rica when the Whitecaps head in to the Monsters Cave in CONCACAF Champions Cup first round, first leg action. It's a tough game at any point of the season. It's a tough game in the Champions Cup. It's a particularly tough game when it is your first game of the new season, and for Jesper Sorensen, his first game in charge of the Whitecaps. It's going to be an intimidating atmosphere. It's going to be a very hard-fought game, and facing off against him will be a man that made 137 appearances across all competitions for the Whitecaps from 2014 to 2018. He's the former captain of the Whitecaps, 15 goals, 8 assists in his time here in Vancouver. One of the best centre-backs the club has ever had in their MLS era, and he will be very up for this game. Still loved by most of the Whitecaps fans. Did kind of leave under a little bit of a cloud if you just go by things that were said on social media. And of course, as we very well know, Zach, you cannot always take what is on social media at face value. So I'm glad to say that Zach and me got a chance to sit down with the now 37-year-old Kendall Waston just to chat about his time here in Vancouver, his footballing career, his footballing journey so far, playing at a couple of World Cups and winning championships and trophies with a club that started it all off for him, Saprissa. How does he feel about taking on the Whitecaps? Can he explain how his departure from the club came about? Can he put to bed some of the misunderstandings as well? We're going to bring you this over the next 2 parts. It's an interview you will not want to miss. So go put the kettle on. You might want to make 2 hot beverages for this one and grab a couple of your favourite sweet treats. We obviously recommend chocolate digestives as we sit down for a very interesting chat with former Whitecaps captain Kendall Waston.
Going down Costa Rica, plan to meet some pretty chicas, and I must say, I'm happy today.
So, welcome to the show, back to the show, and we've never really had a proper sit-down chat with him since he left before really all the Zoom era and everything began. But he is going to be coming back to Vancouver on the other side of the pitch in a couple of days' time, playing for his club Saprissa. Welcome to the show, Kendall Waston.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me back here. I'm really happy, excited, like a lot of feelings coming back through my mind. Like all those years living in Vancouver is only joy.
That's nice to hear, because it's a beautiful city. We miss you. You were such a good player for the club. You're a player that gave us all in the jersey. And I think that's something that fans want from any player, is somebody that's always committed. And you always came across as that.
Yes, I try to always give my best. Like every time head out the pitch. Like I try to play with a lot of passion and try to be myself, be aggressive, but with a lot of love to what I do.
Yeah, because like we know what a nice person you are off the pitch. I would not want to go up against you on the pitch.
Off the pitch is another word,
Yes.
Fight for my club, 100%.
Well, we were saying before we recorded, I haven't spoken to you for a long time, but Zach was down in Costa Rica just last August and met up with you, and you were so gracious with your time with Zach. And I mean, how you enjoying life back in Costa Rica? You've come full circle. You started your career there. You went and had your adventures. You've come back now. You just enjoying life at the moment?
Well, yes, like being back with the family, having everybody like close by, like obviously being with my first club. And for me, is the biggest club in Costa Rica. So like we have been enjoying it a lot. And obviously because we have been winning a lot of trophies, so that make it even better.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk a little bit about the big game coming up with the Whitecaps in a few minutes. We'll get to some other stuff before that. But when the draw was made, like before the draw was made, Zach and me were joking, it'd be so good if the Whitecaps get Saprissa. Yes. And then I was watching the draw live, Zach wasn't, and I texted him going, you're going to be happy. And he's like, what's happened? And I was like, it's Whitecaps Saprissa. How did you feel when you heard it was the Whitecaps?
Well, actually, I was watching everything before one of our match, after going to warm up, we put on the TV to see against who we are going to play. So I was like, please be Whitecaps. Please, I need to go back to Vancouver. And when Vancouver came out, I was so happy. I was screaming around. My wife texted me like, you see who we are going to play again? We are going back to Vancouver. So it was a lot of joy.
Yeah, I think it's a great tie. It's going to be a tough tie. It's going to be a very interesting one as well. And you said at the start, it's all your memories of Vancouver. It's just joyous memories here.
Yeah.
It's like how do you look back at your time here? You came here, and I think when the signing was done, like you were quite an unknown to people here. But then we saw right away what you could be to this team. When you look back at your years here, which let's see, 14, 15, 16, 17. So what, 5.5 years? You spent here. How do you look back at your time here?
Every time I try to look back is like I get some goosebumps, because since day one I start to enjoy it a lot. I remember like being back with the boys there, everybody, the city, all the people around is like a great welcome, Straight away I feel like at home. And I just remember just wanted to start to play. And the staff was like, you got to relax. You have to be step by step. You got to get fit. I just wanted to play. But as soon as I start to living day in, day out in Vancouver, I was like enjoying every moment.
Obviously, as a footballer, there's all kinds of different pressures that you face, just playing, performing well, all these kinds of things. They impact your life so massively. I'm just wondering, when you came in, did you have a sense of this, or did you feel any extra pressure? Because if I remember things right, Michael, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you were coming in at a time when Jay DeMerit was retiring, and kind of Jay DeMerit was kind of going out a little bit early, and like you were brought in to like be, in one sense, like his replacement and kind of thing. Did you know that? Was there any extra pressure on you? Was that kind of just off on the side? You didn't know?
I didn't feel that extra pressure, to be honest. I just remember like everything came out so quick. I remembered my agent, they came Friday, Saturday, everything was out. Monday, I was like in New York tramiting my work permit to be in Vancouver, because the limit to be on and the roster in MLS was like closing down, I think Tuesday or Wednesday. So everything was really quick. So I was really surprised. But when I noticed, like, okay, it was Jake, he retired because his knee situation, his huge injury. Obviously, it's sad, but for me, it was like an enjoyment to be again I'm playing in the MLS now and having that opportunity. So I was like, want to try to be the best to put my name in the history of Whitecaps.
So okay, so you sensed that pressure a little bit, but you saw it as an opportunity, to write your name in the history books of Vancouver. When you think about the playing side of being in Vancouver, what are some of the most significant moments? Obviously, there's some that'll stand out to everyone.
Number one was the goal against Colorado.
Yeah,
in BC Place, because was I don't know, 2 months in and having that goal to help us to be in the players for the first time of Vancouver. So for me, that is like the number one spot.
Well, yeah. So that, I think for most people, like that was, in the games at BC Place, with the configuration was what it was. I think that was, the loudest that stadium ever was with that many people in it. Like it was a crazy moment. What are some of the other on-field highlights for you from your time?
Playing away in Seattle for the Cascada Cup. That was amazing. The way we play against them, the way things go through, was a great environment. And well, I think also playing in CONCACAF, because nobody expect Whitecaps go so far, and we play semifinals against Tigres, the Mexican team. So I think we did, in those 5 years that I spent in Vancouver, we did great things.
Just also thinking about the off the pitch side of things, who are some of the teammates and the staff and the people that you connected with that you build deep relationships with, or you appreciate the most, or maybe that you even still stay in touch with to this day?
Yeah, I still stay in touch with Legish. He's one of the physios,
Where is he now? Because he was it Columbus?
Yeah, he went to Columbus after he went back to Canada, I think with Pacific, if I don't be wrong.
Yeah,
and
I think he was there.
He's like working by himself in Toronto.
Yes.
But I keep in touch with him still. John Pauly, actually, he's still there. And Sam Adekuve, we always joke around because we had a great time. We was living in the same apartment, in the same building in Vancouver. So, there's several guys that actually they're not still in Vancouver, but we keep in touch, And the equipment guys, especially Nathan, Nathan, the media guy, I always tell him.
Yeah, he's still here.
Yeah. I give him so many headaches.
I do as well, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioning Sam, because I was going to say to you, it's a whole different team now. You're not going to know anyone. I've totally forgot. You played with Sam all the years ago as well. So that's going to be nice when you meet up again on the pitch. Maybe not as much for Sam as you, maybe, on the pitch.
Because we met against each other when we play with the national team, for Qatar. But now, he's coming, he went back to Vancouver after his travel to Turkey. But, Sam was a little kid. Now he's a grown man.
Yeah. So you talked about wanting to write your name into kind of history books in Vancouver. Do you feel you did that? Obviously, some of those big moments, some of the things you guys achieved when you were here are massive and historical for the club. Do you feel like you achieved everything you wanted to?
Well, not everything, because I wanted to be MLS champion, so I think that was one thing missing there. I also, in my individual side, I wanted to be the best defender of the league. I couldn't. So there was some of few things missing, but at the end, I think I did a great thing with Vancouver.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we won the first Canadian Championship here when you were with the team as well. I won't mention the other game. I still have horror flashbacks of you and David coming together.
I remember it like yesterday.
So do I. It's like I did an interview yesterday with the new head coach of the Whitecaps, and his team in Denmark lost the championship on the last day of the season at home to a late goal. And I brought that up to him, and you could see it still traumatized him. And I was like, oh no, this is the first time I've spoken to him, and I've brought this horrible moment from his past up. So sorry to do it again.
Oh yes, that game, man, was a long night after that match.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, but it's over.
Yes, but let's just talk happy memories.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's So there were some good times, obviously some achievements, but I'm wondering if you're willing to talk a little bit about how you left Vancouver, because I think most people only get like the press release or maybe the social media feeds of kind of like, this is what's going on. And over the years, as I've talked to you, I feel like the picture I saw in the press releases and on social media were different than the stories I heard from behind the scenes. So I don't know how much you want to talk about that, but I think it would help for people to understand kind of the circumstances around your leaving, because essentially the narrative, and maybe you know this, but the narrative from the outside is you had a strong relationship with Robbo. Robbo gets sacked, and then shortly after that, right before the end of the season or whatever, you kind of were asked in an interview, do you want to go? And you said, yeah, I want to go. And so people's perceptions of all of that is that, oh, Kendall wanted to leave Vancouver, and that's why he left Vancouver. So I wonder if you could maybe give us maybe the behind the scenes or a little bit of what was really going on, and what led up to you maybe saying that in that moment at that that scrum at training, I think it was.
Yeah, I think, like, to make things clear, everything started when obviously they sacked Robbo, and after they tried to make me aside to be talking with the media, So I was like, why they are putting me aside to talk to the media? So I was obviously a little bit upset with that, and I was honest saying that I didn't like when they fired Robbo, because it's the coach that brought me to Vancouver, or even if they fire any other from the staff or player, I wouldn't be happy because I love them, So they brought it in another context, So that was one thing, and things what was happening in the locker room that I didn't like, and I was always honest. I always say the truth, even if they like it or not. So I said, like, I don't like to be with snakes, because people was passing information, close information from the locker room to the owners or, GM and whatsoever. So if I don't feel safe in a place, I'd rather leave. Like, it's supposed to be a home that everybody speak face to face and arrange problems like a grown man, So when I don't see those things, I rather speak it out. If they don't like it, that was when it happened that they tried to make me aside and don't speak with the media. So that was part of it.
I forgot that it was the same day. I now that you hearing your story, I'm like, oh, I remember that. It's like Robbo was fired and then they put you up right away. So obviously you're still processing the information.
Yeah.
And that is, on the one hand, the club captain is the guy that has to be the face. But at the same time, you've not had time as well to kind of process that information.
Yeah, Correct. Yes, because well, the same day, like everybody was like shocked, surprised. So I was like, obviously, I'm not gonna say, "Oh yes, I'm happy" or whatsoever. No, I was sad about it, you know. So I was just trying to be honest, but they took it in another side.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the same moment though when you said, "Yeah, I want to leave," or was that later?
No, it was later on.
That was later. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Way later on, almost in the end of the season.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I think if I remember right, it was one of the last scrums before the end of the season.
Yeah.
And then, like you mentioned the locker room, and I remember that end of season availability, and it was carnage. It was like we could not believe what was happening. Players were coming and saying, "Oh yeah, there's a big divide. There's lots of cleats." Yeah, and other players are saying, "Oh no, it's not." And then hearing you explain that now, like I think I might be wrong, but at the time you said, "I don't think there's a divide," but that's you just defending your teammates in the locker room.
Yes, because my nature is like, okay, if we have a nip, like the same as a family, if you have a problem with your family, you fix it at your own circle. You don't shut it out like everybody know what is happening, you know? So that's why I was trying to make things. But when I see another players speaking out things that they supposed to don't talk about it, is where I was pissed out.
Oh, yeah. Because the other thing as well is like you don't know what the other players have said at that moment because one comes in, one goes out, and you've not heard what's been said.
Yes, and that same day they tried, like they didn't want I speak. But you guys asked that I need to speak, you know.
Yeah, as the captain, we were like, the captain needs to speak, especially after what we've just heard. So, yeah, that was a crazy day.
So, Kendall, what you're saying is that, so the Robbo thing happened, they put you up, it's an awkward situation for you. You speak the truth, you share it from your heart, about your disappointment and stuff. But then you're saying also within the locker room, in and around that time or during the season or whatever, that there are people who are sharing things outside that they shouldn't be to kind of like breaking the trust.
Yeah, breaking the trust, breaking the rules.
And you spoke out against that, and you're saying that that made you unpopular with the owner, like the not the owners, but the higher ups.
Yes.
Okay,
because they didn't like obviously that I say the truth, and after they was trying to make me say things that they want I say, so I'm not gonna put words on my mouth of another people. You know, I'm gonna say the truth, even it is if they will affect on others, but it's the truth. The truth is what it is.
And so then was it then the Whitecaps who wanted you to go away, like to leave, or was it?
Yes, because even I had an option to go to Mexico, to Tijuana, and we was in conversation, and obviously how Vancouver have my rights. They didn't respond me. They didn't text me. I was texting Vancouver GM at the time, and no answers until the end when they say, "Okay, you're going to Cincinnati."
Right.
Because there was other MLS teams that were interested in you as well, wasn't there? I heard LA at the time, or LAFC at the time were interested in you, I believe.
Yes. Also Toronto was interested. Like, thank God, was a lot of another teams interested, but obviously at the end they decide where you go because they got their GAM or TAM money, something like that.
So at no point, as the captain that's been there for 5 years, at no point did they sit down with you and say, these are the teams that's interested, where would you like to go?
No.
Wow.
I was here. I remember that was in off season. I was here in Costa Rica, so they ring my phone before Christmas. You're going to Cincinnati. That's it.
Was that the year that Alan Koch was at Cincinnati?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The first year of Cincinnati.
Because Alan and me go way back, like to when he was here at SFU. And I remember I was happy that you went there. I wasn't happy that you left, but I was happy that at least you'd gone to there. And
Yes,
then
I was putting on my Twitter like happy, 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 or thank God, blah, 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 because I got a job, you know?
yeah, and again, I think that was taken the wrong way as well, though, because there was fans here. That's the problem with social media. It's got no context.
Correct.
So you read, "Oh, I'm really happy," and then
Yeah.
folk are like, "Oh, he just wants to be away from here," but it's happy because you've got a club.
Job.
Yeah.
So again, just to be, I just want to make sure this is clear. See, so basically, the Whitecaps wanted you to go before you made that comment at the end of the season.
They wasn't happy with me.
All right, so they weren't happy with you, meaning they were
Because
looking to move
even
you.
in that time, like there was the conversation with Alfonso going to Bayern. So, you know, they was making all those things. They was telling me like, oh, you're not going to wear anymore the captain band. You know, like Alfonso, we want Alfonso wear it. I was like, excuse me?
Really?
I was like,
I have never heard that story before. Wow.
So like I was upset. I say, no. Why? Because, oh, maybe we're going to sell him to Bayern. It will be a nice like gift to Alfonso for everything he have done. I will say, okay, I respect that. But if I'm playing, I'm going to use it. So that was, like we had different issues, you know, different issues after we have like different conversations that I know like the coach at that time, I forget his name.
Craig Dalrymple.
Yeah. Like he was having some conversation with me. Like I know like those questions are not coming from him. So I was like just politic, just always trying to do my work because nobody can say like I'm not professional and I don't want to do my job the best possible. But I always gonna be like clear and sincere with everyone, you know. So I was watching different things happening that I wasn't happy about it, and obviously they was upset with me.
So because they were upset with you, they wanted you away.
Yeah.
So when you made that comment of like, I want to leave Vancouver, it was because you knew they wanted you away.
Totally.
Right. So it wasn't just you saying, I want to get out of here because Robo's gone.
Yeah, no. Because at the end, you know, like this job, you're not going to be there forever. You know, as a player or as a coach, the club always going to stay there. So at the end, I will be happy, grateful with Robo, but how they sack him, one thing is I'm not happy, but the other thing is that I have to keep being professional because, you know, Vancouver was my club and I will be doing everything possible to try to succeed.
Yeah. And that's just the life of a football manager. You are going to get sacked sometimes unfairly, sometimes fan pressure, sometimes results.
Like it or not.
Yeah, it just happens. It's interesting to hear you say that because it's like we were chatting before we recorded, and it's like I've been curious what kind of reception you're going to get when you come back to BC Place, partly because of some of the way things were misrepresented at the time. So I think it's good for you to explain that and to clarify that, and hopefully fans listening to this will realise you didn't want to leave Vancouver. Correct. And you've kind of been forced out.
Yes, and I always said, like, for me, being in Vancouver, like, that is actually now, if you tell me, come and live in Vancouver, I will go straight away with my family. Mm-hmm. None of us have any issue. We always say Vancouver is a paradise. You know, yeah. It's a paradise where to live. So that is not questionable.
Well, that's good. What kind of reception do you think you're going to get when you take to the pitch?
Well, I don't know. I think there's still going to be a section of fans that are not happy about the rainbow thing.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I guess
think they
we'll
have
talk
it
about that now. Yeah.
understood.
Yeah, because I mean, that was another thing at the time that I'm coming from this, like folk listening to this will know that Zach's a pastor and he's a religious person. They'll also know that, and I don't like saying this in front of Kendall because he's going to not like me, but I'm an atheist and I'm not religious. But Zach and me get on so well because we respect each other's views.
Yes.
And I think in the modern world, that just doesn't happen. And it's not like there was a lot of accusations laid towards you, but fans seem to forget you did wear the jersey with the rainbow number on it. It was just you didn't wear the rainbow armband.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, from your perspective, do you want to talk about that situation and how it made you feel when the fans then issued the statement sort of really condoning you?
Yes, I think it's just
condemning you. I've got that wrong the wrong way again. We do this a lot on the show, not condoning.
I think it's a little section of the fans that time that they think that way and they try to take some picture here and think stupid things, you know, because if you see different pictures at that time, what they was putting on the social media, like my jersey always was covering my my captain band.
Yes, I forgot that.
So they was saying, "Oh, I'm covering the rainbow," and I was like, "What they are saying?" But obviously, I'm not gonna be on my social media answering every single comment.
Yeah, that's right. Because you wore it. I was thinking you didn't wear it, but no, you wore it. That's what it was. They thought you had covered it up.
So, like, in my mind was like, obviously, I'm not gonna say it or whatever. I don't need to have a lot of explanations to everyone. But I was saying like, oh, even my brother, he's gay, you know. So it's nonsense that they think I'm homophobic, having an own family member. You know, like one thing is that I don't agree. And another thing is that I accept it, but I'm not gonna share it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Or celebrate it?
Yeah, correct. I'm not gonna celebrate it, but I respect it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of the difficult things in this conversation, whether it be connected to sports or otherwise, is that it seems like in the world today, is that if you don't share certain opinions or perspectives on certain things, then you're painted into a corner in a certain way, as opposed to saying, okay, I can respect that you have a different view than me. And I think in general, the Christian worldview, when it comes to things of like sexual orientation and identity and these things, I think unfortunately the way some of this has played out is that the Christian religion is saying that God created us to live ideally in a certain way, but also gives us the opportunity to live life however we want. And I think for me as a person, and maybe Kendall, you're the same, or maybe you're a little bit different, but it's like, yeah, everyone can choose how they want to, how they live and how they identify and how they live their life. But we also, as long as you're respectful of other people and their differences, Michael, as you've said, then that should be okay. But it seems like there's that's not okay in culture. And I know this is a bigger non-football conversation, but I think it was unfortunate that and I knew, Kendall, you couldn't respond to the stuff on social media all the time, and but yeah, I think it's unfortunate because I know you as a person who loves and cares for people, even who have different worldviews than you, who live life differently than you. And
because at the end, I'm not judging anyone, you know. So for me, that is one of the principles, you know, respect and don't judge.
Mm-hmm. And that's how it should be. And I think if the world in general lived that way, it would be a much happier place right now than it unfortunately is, just all over. So I think it's nice that we've covered that as well, because I think that's going to explain a few things. So that's a good point to bring this first part of the interview to a little bit of a break. We'll let everyone get some refreshments, and we'll be back with more from Kendall Waston after this episode's Britpop song.
Hello, this is Kendall Waston. You are listening to AFTN Show. Let's go!
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's our Britpop song for this episode. English band Elastica, their fourth single overall, their third one to be taken from their debut self-titled album, released at the start of February 1995, charting this week 30 years ago, peaking at number 13 in the UK singles charts. One of their best songs as well, that was Waking Up. And interestingly, a lot of folk will know Elastica from their hit song Connection, and they were accused of plagiarism in that one of the band Wire, and this song as well saw them accused of plagiarism, this time by punk legends The Stranglers. And after settling out of court, Elastica actually co-credited The Stranglers as writers on all future releases of the song. A fantastic song it was as well. And just a reminder, if you're a new listener to the show, the reason we're playing Britpop songs is at the end of last year, all of this year, we are paying tribute to 30 years of Britpop, one of the best eras of music, certainly in my lifetime, and so many good songs, so many good bands, and we're featuring a lot of them on the show, so hope you are enjoying them. We will get back to the football chat now, and we'll get back to this second half of our interview with former Whitecaps captain Kendall Waston. Hope you're enjoying it so far. A lot to talk about, a lot to unpack as well, so let's get back to our chat with Kendall.
Going down to Costa Rica, plan to meet some pretty chicas, and I must say, I'm happy today.
So, I mean, let's get into this big game that's coming up.
Yes, sir.
This is going to be going out 3-4 days before the first leg down in Costa Rica. Now, I've seen Zach's videos from his trip down to the Monsters Cave. I've heard his stories. I know it from previous games. What can the Whitecaps expect against Saprissa down in Costa Rica? It's going to be a battle for them.
Yes, it's going to be like an interesting game where obviously our fans are going to be excited, a lot of passion. I think like we need, like especially us here in Central America, like we take this tournament really serious. You know, for us going to a World Cup, a club World Cup is huge, and we only have done it once. So we want to try to be there again.
Kendall, I hear you when you're saying like, yeah, the supporters, the ultras, the fans are going to be up for it. Does it, like here in North America, obviously things are still growing, even when it comes to things like the CONCACAF Cup. Is the fact that it's I think a Thursday night there, does that hurt? Is that going to hurt the crowd? Or is it like, no, it doesn't matter. They know this is a big game. The stadium's going to be full. The ultras are going to be going hard. Like,
yeah, it's going to be like people doesn't matter. Even we play sometimes on Fridays or Tuesdays.
It won't matter, yeah.
But what depends also is like how we done in our local tournament as well. Yeah. Because people, like, if we don't win or we are not playing how we usually play, like, people get upset and they don't go to support so much.
Right.
Well, it's a bit like that here as well, because we won't have a good crowd here, I don't think, for it, because people here still don't really understand the competition of the importance of it. And it's a Thursday night here as well, which is a bit of a killer for crowds sometimes.
It's still going to be cold?
Yes. Yeah, like right now, it's minus and there's snow everywhere.
Wow.
Not a lot of snow, but snow.
Snow again.
Because I tell you, if I was the Whitecaps, I would be having that roof open and I would be freezing you guys.
I'm not saying anything.
I mean, I've followed some of Saprissa's results with Zach going down there. I've been looking at them, and then after the draw, I was following along. You had a good first half of the season. I know the second half of the season has just started. I know you haven't been playing because of a suspension and an injury as well. But how are Saprissa looking right now?
Yeah, now we have like new players coming in. So we are struggling a little bit this start of the season. Hopefully we can step up because like we are having like a nice little pressure because last tournament we didn't stay champions. We have been champions 4 times in a row. So we didn't get that 5th. So now we have that urgency to be champions again this tournament. So hopefully before the game against Whitecaps, we can have good results. So the team could be like a little bit, going on with our feelings.
The current captain for you, I know you're a vice captain, but the current captain, the central midfielder, left-footed number 20, I forget his name, but the Argentine.
Oh, yes, that Argentine guy.
He seems to be in like pretty good form. He's healthy right now.
Yeah, he's healthy right now. I'm not gonna say no more information.
I'm sorry.
Zach's a Whitecap spy.
The only other thing I'll ask is do you have a new keeper?
No, like the keepers actually the keeper who starts, well, his name is Esteban Alvarado. Like he been with us like couple seasons now. He used to play with the national team. He played in Europe as well. But we have the second goalkeeper. He's Canadian. He's Costa Rican Canadian.
Oh,
really? What's his name?
Get your research.
Yeah. Oh, okay, we'll be checking that out. I mean, for you guys though, it's tough as well because this is the Whitecaps' first game of the year.
Yeah, his name is Abraham Madriz.
We'll check him out.
Watch out, he can play with your national team. Huh?
Okay. Well, I mean, for facing the Whitecaps, first game of the season, it's a new coach, there's new players. How can, like, again, we're not wanting to give tactics away, but how can you be fully prepared for that? Because we don't even know what the Whitecaps are going to look like in this game.
No, it's difficult, but you know what helped me? Because I've been watching, I have Whitecaps on my Instagram, and I've been watching them on their preseason in Spain. I saw they have YouTube some matches, so I've been doing my work.
Oh, that's superb. Yeah. I mean, what I was joking about was, because I mean, obviously, you're getting on a bit now for a footballer, 37, old man. You're going to be going up against all these young...
I'm like 15.
I'm 20 years older than you, so I'm getting away with murder here calling you old. But you're going to be going up against tricky young players, wingers, Ryan Gold, who's a bit of a handful. Are you looking forward to that challenge? Is there going to be a few elbows going in the back?
No, now we have the VAR, so I cannot be, tricky.
I know it ruins it. It's a CONCACAF. It's like, that's what you want in CONCACAF.
But it's gonna be a nice game because I saw those players, like especially him, the captain. He is really skillful. He for a lot of goals, important goals as well. So we got to be careful.
Because he's Scottish, we are very talented.
Yeah. All right. I know.
Are you also talking about scoring nice goals? Are you going to be preparing to play both as a center back and as a striker in this game? Because I know in the end of the tournament in the playoffs in the Apertura, you played at least one game all up front and almost turned the tide. Well, you changed that tide, but
come on, Zach. You are the really spy of the Whitecaps, right?
No, I have to report for AFTN.
See, if I was asking these questions, you'd be suspicious. Coming from you, Zach, it's even more suspicious.
No. Yeah, come on, man.
I know. I can envision you doing some damage up front.
Well, I loved watching you up front. I have to, like, when Robbo put you up front, it was a joy. I loved that.
Because you were like when you were 15 or 13 or whatever, when you were 11 or when you were a striker, right? Yeah.
But actually, like, I don't know. I don't care if I play in the back or in the front. I just want to play again in busy place. Like, I want to have that feeling again, all those memories back, because I really love playing there.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
But we'll wrap things up in a little bit. I just wanted to ask you a couple of things, because we do a lot of these in-depth chats now that we didn't really do back when you were there. It's just something we've kind of done more recently. So I've never got to ask you some of this stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, when did you first get the love for football? When did you know that you could be a professional footballer?
My first love, I think, to playing football I was really young. I was like around 9-10 years old. But actually, when I saw myself like, okay, maybe I could be playing as a professional, was when I joined the national team under 17. That was the time I say, okay, maybe I can make it, and I will try to do all the things possible to make it, So around that age, I was seeing myself as a professional.
And like, when you were growing up in San Jose as a young kid playing football, could you ever have imagined that you wouldn't have just been at one World Cup, you would have played at 2 World Cups.
Wow. I didn't like, if you brought me like, I don't know how many years behind trying to say like I'm gonna be in a World Cup. It wasn't like on my mind. That was happening like during the time, that you see it closer and closer. And like now seeing myself right now with 2 World Cups and having, thank God, like all the opportunities playing in MLS, I'm really grateful, to be honest. I'm really grateful because it isn't easy, and things like what at the beginning was a lot of struggle, but that struggle helped me to build character, and that helped me to appreciate every single moment.
When you look back at your career, well, I mean, first of all, like I was joking, but you are 37 now. How much longer do you feel you can go? Because you are still playing like a young guy out there.
Thank you. I have 2 more years of contract. I think after, if Vancouver want me again, I will go.
I was going to ask you about that because I mentioned to somebody just before we were chatting, I was like, I'm just waiting to speak to Kendall. And he said, is this going to be Axel's new signing? Is this going to be some transfer news you've got? I was like, I don't think so, but you never know. But like when you do hang up your boots, and I mean, who knows what happens in the next 2 years? I mean, you have a 3rd World Cup in you, maybe.
Maybe
come back and play at BC Place for Costa Rica.
Is there a chance of that, Papi?
Yes, it is a chance because I don't quit for my national team. So now that chance is open.
So
I'd love that. That would be some story.
So for you, it's like if the coach or the representatives called and said, "Hey, we want you in the team for the World Cup." For you, does it matter the role?
No, sir.
Okay.
Like I always say, in Costa Rica we don't have any army, right? But I always say that I'm a soldier. Like if they call me, I'm gonna be there. If they don't call me, I'm always ready.
Well, the thing is, like with the 3 countries hosting it, Costa Rica's got a great chance of getting back there. And it's like they've got to be one of the favourites to qualify as well. And when you do eventually hang up your boots and you look back at your career, I mean, I don't know all the things you've done with Saprissa. I know you've won trophies. But when I think of you and I think of goals, I think of that goal that you scored for the Ticos that sent you to the World Cup in 2018. Is that like your big standout moment?
Yes, absolutely. That is the best moment in my career because we had a lot of pressure going on. Mm-hmm. We was losing 1-0 at home against Honduras, and in the last 3 minutes in the overtime, my big head came out.
I think I can picture it. I genuinely remember you jumping and then running to the corner flag, pumping your fist, if I'm right.
Yes, I take out my jersey. I was trying to know what to do to celebrate. My mind was in blank. I was just running like a crazy man.
I hope you still have that jersey. I hope that's on your wall framed.
Yeah,
cool.
I got it signed, so it is on my closet.
That's cool.
You said a word that's really traumatizing, or a phrase that's really traumatizing for Canadians, losing to Honduras. Is the second biggest moment of your footballing career scoring in Russia at the World Cup?
Yes, because it's a dream come true. First of all, playing in a World Cup. And after scoring in your first game, for me was a moment to always remind.
And you had to share the celebration time with Priscilla. I think she got as much camera time as you did.
She deserved it.
Oh, she's way better looking than Kendall. That's who you want on the telly.
200%.
No, that's fantastic. I tell you what,
Oh, you was watching my wife?
Zach's always sending me pictures from Instagram. Like one of the best things, like my lasting memory of you here, Kendall. We'll wrap this up now because you've been very generous with your time. But you might not remember this, but it really sticks in my head. Before you went off to the 2018 World Cup, I brought my Panini sticker albums, and we were flicking through all the old Costa Rican teams. And just to see the joy on your face as you're like, oh, I remember him, oh, that guy. I remember that so much. That was one of my favourite interviews that we've done. And like we joke in this, I always say I have favourite interviews, but that one really stands out. I just always remember because you were just so happy looking at your country's players from the past.
Yes, I was like so, how can I say, like I feel so proud, you know? And as a kid, I remember to watch those players on the TV when I didn't have any expectation to play soccer, professional soccer. So now I realize myself being a professional soccer player, remembering those players. So at the same time in my mind is like, oh, I would like to inspire a lot of kids to try to reach their goal as a soccer player as well.
I think that's a great way to end, unless anything else you're wanting to ask Zach.
No, just looking forward to seeing you when you're here, Poppy.
Yeah, yes, I cannot wait. I cannot wait, to be honest. Like, if God wants and everything came out good, my wife, my son will be in Vancouver as well, because I don't know what happened when I went to Cincinnati. I didn't play against Vancouver in Vancouver.
Oh, so this is your first time back?
Yes, it's my first time back since I left Vancouver. Not even in holidays.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully the whole family can do it. I've heard good things about Kisak. I've heard he's a baller. He's a good player. Maybe we'll see him in a Whitecaps jersey one day.
Why not? You never know.
Yeah, just pitch it when you're here. Like, I think it's been good for everyone to hear your stories, explain how things went down. What I will say is the Whitecaps now is so different to the Whitecaps then. The way that Axel Schuster runs the team as the CEO and the sporting director, it's been a breath of fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
I think players are treated a lot better just in general. Folk are always saying how much they love it. It's a great locker room. And yeah, I hope you're made to feel very welcome here. Yeah. I can't wait to see you back in the pitch. Obviously, I'm wanting a Whitecaps win. And if you want to bring a little Saprissa hat or something that Zach didn't bring me, I'd love one of those as well.
No problem. Like, to be honest, Michael, I really appreciate opportunity to speak for the first time. To make things clear and make people know as well that I don't have anything against Vancouver. I love Vancouver 100%. Like, as I told you before, for me, for my family, it's a place where we can live the entire life. And we are really excited to be back. We love all the people from Vancouver, and obviously the Whitecaps, I really support them. Like, in my time, I check on the media, check on the games of the Whitecaps, so I really keep in touch. So yeah, it's just love, and hopefully everybody can get what was wrong at the time, have it clear in this conversation that we had.
I hope so. Thank you for your time, Kendall. It's been fantastic. You've been really generous with your time.
Thank you. Looking forward to see you guys.
Going down Costa Rica, plan to meet some pretty chicas, and I must say, I'm happy today.
Kendall Waston there, former Whitecaps captain, and very excited to be facing off against his former team, but also coming back to Vancouver, a city he loves, a city his family love. And it's going to be the first time he's come back here since his departure in 2018. And I mean, it was great catching up with Kendall. I know you spoke to him when you were down in Costa Rica last year, Zach, but we joke on the show about, favourite interviews and all that. But I genuinely had a smile on my face the whole time chatting to him. And it's like, it's been years since I spoke to him. And just, he was so open there about everything. And we'll touch on a couple of the things that you mentioned, but it was just great to catch up with him. And he's just so excited for these games and to come back to Vancouver as well. He clearly loves the city.
Yeah, he loves Vancouver. I think despite some of the difficulties in at the end, he also, I think, still has a big place in his heart for the Whitecaps.
Oh yeah, like he clearly still loves the club.
Yeah, so this is exciting. Yeah, yeah. They were also supposed to be. His wife was supposed to come up here for a tournament for his son that we were talking about after there. That now seems to not have transpired the way it was supposed to. So they're really sad about that because they were looking forward to being up here twice, kind of in the winter and then in the spring. But no, they love it here. And yeah, I mean, the Wastons are they're like friends. Like I've known them. I've been in their home. They've been in my home. We've broken bread together. We text, we talk, we WhatsApp video call, like we connect, and they're people just I really appreciate, and I'm really thankful for the connection over the years. And yeah, I'm so excited for this opportunity for them to come up here. And when I was down there, going to being, like I said at the time, after I got back, being in that football culture is just so different. Everyone there just lives and breathes it. Right. So all the things I was doing down there, it was all just I was just well, I got to go talk to strangers about stuff or invite them to this, community gathering, or, do all the things we were doing. We're connecting at the university campus. And so for me, all I did was I went up to people wearing Saprissa kits because half the students at the university were wearing Saprissa kits. So those are the people I went to talk to, Or one guy was wearing an Olympia jersey from Honduras. So I was like, I know them. Let's go talk about,
You just went up and went, FH.
No, I did not do that. But talked about, what's his name? This is where my memory, as I get older, is just getting worse and worse. I can see his face. Oh, Ramel Kyoto. Yeah, but when I was in Costa Rica, it's just a different, and you could talk, even people who weren't wearing, Saprissa stuff that I was connecting with, I was just do you, I would say, do you, support Saprissa? And most of them were oh, yeah, of course. And a few of them were no, I'm Liga de la Juanza or Herediano, or, there's a few others. But, and then just, but everyone, I'd say, 70% of the people are wearing some kind of football kit. Messi jerseys were everywhere. Barcelona kid, there was Real Madrid everywhere. Argentine national team, there was just so many. It's just so part of the culture, and so, yeah, it's a different world. And Saprissa is just so loved, and so we talked about it there, but so excited for them to be coming. Yeah, all to be.
Is it going to be? Is it going to be quite hostile, do you think, for if there's any Whitecaps fans going down, do you think that'll be hostile for them?
So the game I went to there wasn't one of the big games, so it was not at all. There wasn't even, the fans weren't even segregated. Now, this could be different because it's an MLS team, but whenever you go to football, especially in a foreign country, you need to keep your wits about you.
Yes.
And I was in a larger group, and we were there supporting the home team, so I knew we weren't going to have issues. But yeah, if there's anyone going, they need to make sure you connect with the Whitecaps about your attending, and then they will also work with with Saprissa to make sure that you're in a place and you're safe. And remember back in the day, the casuals went to the Tigre Stadium. Do you remember there was two? There was two of them. And they went and they were sitting there, and it was awkward and stuff and whatever. And but they, as long as you have your wits about you and you're not antagonistic, you'll be fine. I would say if anyone is going, you can pay to park in the Taco Bell parking lot. That's down the street, and it's a nice walk to the stadium. And but it is. If anyone's going, you're going to have a wonderful time.
Yeah, if anyone's going, actually reach out to us.
Yeah, let us know.
Love to hear from you as well. Just a couple of things that Kendall talked about there. Now, we wanted to get him on for a number of reasons. One, he's a great personality. He's a fun guy to chat to, as I think came across it in our chat there, where we chatted before, we chatted after, lots of laughs, and he's a great guy. Yeah. But one of the reasons I wanted to get on, obviously talk about the game, but I also wanted to address some of the situations around him departing the club. And I think we certainly did it there. In regards to the pride issue, Kendall mentioned there, I didn't know this. I didn't know his brother was gay. And he just mentioned that to us there. So I think the fans that label him homophobic, that should be the end of that discussion. He's got a family member that he loves dearly that is gay.
Yeah.
In that community, and that, to me, should be the end of that.
Yeah. Now, some people listening to this, Michael, might view that differently, right? Like, it's like, oh, I have a friend or I have a family member who, that doesn't change your perspective on things. I think ultimately, like I was sort of trying to say there, I think it's ultimately about how do you treat people, right? Like, you might not have this exact same worldview, meaning you might not think the world should play out in certain ways that you would agree on, but it's how do you treat people, right? So you might not celebrate the same things, but do you treat each other with respect and kindness and love, right?
And as he explained there, he wore the pride armband. He didn't deliberately cover it, as folk were trying to make out that he did. And
just to be clear, he was saying not that the people were stupid, but that the accusation that he was trying to hide the armband was stupid.
And it was. It's like he played in the game, he wore the armband, he wore the jersey. Look at some of the CPL players that have opted out of Pride games in the last couple of years. Kendall did none of that. And he's got a lot more flack than these players that chose not to play in these games. And maybe it's because it's a higher profile player, I don't know. I thought it was unfair at the time, still think it's unfair now, and hopefully he's kind of clarified that aspect a little bit.
Totally.
The other big talking point as well was around how he left the club.
Yeah.
I think he certainly revealed quite a lot about how that played out. Some of it I knew, some of it I thought, some of it I didn't know. But to a lot of folk listening to this, they're not going to have known most of this. And again, he got a lot of stick because folk were like, oh, he just wants out. But I think he's fully explained there, that is not how things played out.
Essentially, he was made to feel he is not wanted here. He is not welcome here. So that's why he made the comments publicly. That's why he made that tweet of like, oh, I'm so happy I'm going to Cincinnati. It wasn't against Vancouver or the Whitecaps as a club or the fans. It was, I have been told I'm not wanted in Vancouver, and I'm excited. I have a club to go to. I have a new contract. Yeah. He had told me some of the stuff at the time, and I totally forgot it. When I was in Costa Rica, it wasn't even him. I was talking to his wife first about some of this stuff, and I was like, "What happened again?" And as she started to unpack it, I was just like, "Oh man, I forgot about how all this went down." And so when the draw happened, that's why I was just like, "We need to talk. We need to have him on the show, and if he's willing to talk about this kind of stuff." Now, I think he's maybe more willing because a number of the people who he had to deal with are no longer a part of the Whitecaps. Some of them are, but some of them are not. And so maybe that's why he feels more free to speak openly about it. And he's also, at the end of his career, and whatever, but, nearing the end of his career, who knows how many more years he'll play. But yeah, I hope for some people, these two significant issues, hopefully they see his perspective on that, and that maybe helps them have a better understanding of kind of what was all going on and what led to him expressing things in the way he did, as opposed to, because I know a lot of people for the departure thing, they're like, all they saw was him standing in front of the microphone at the training before the last game or whatever it was, saying, yeah, they were like, do you want to leave Vancouver? And he's like, yeah, I do want to leave Vancouver. And that's all they knew. That's all. Mm-hmm. So they were like, this guy doesn't want to play for my team. Well, I do not want him here. Right. And so hopefully this kind of sheds light for people who had that frustration.
Yeah. But I mean, Kendall, he loves the city, loves the fans, still loves the club. I hope he gets a good reaction at BC Place on February the 27th. Also hope he's on the losing team. I've told him that. But yeah, I hope he gets a good reaction. I hope those of you listening to this have enjoyed our chat there. A lot of stuff covered. Deportivo Saprissa taking on Vancouver Thursday, February the 20th, 5 p.m. Pacific time kickoff. We'll talk about that in the next show as to how that one played out. Then the second leg goes at BC Place a week later on Thursday, February the 27th. That's a Saprissa game, of course, down in Costa Rica. Is going to be the Whitecaps' first competitive game of the season of 2025. Not the case for Saprissa. They have played 8 matches since the return of the Clausura on January the 11th. 8 games played, 8 goals for, 8 goals against, 3 wins, 3 draws, 2 defeats, and 4 clean sheets is how Saprissa have done since the new year started. And they've got one more game to play before that Vancouver game. They're away to Santa Ana on Sunday, February the 16th. Most recent game was on Wednesday, February 12th. That was a 0-0 home draw. That came on the back of a 1-1 home draw a few days earlier. So coming into this on the back of a couple of draws, they're currently sitting 5th in the Costa Rican Primera Division Clausura table, sitting on 12 points, 5 behind league leaders Herediano. And interestingly, Kendall didn't play in either of those last 2 games. In fact, he hasn't played in the last 4 games. So hopefully he will be good to go for the return at BC Place, if not before, in the first leg. However it plays out, it's certainly going to be a tough opening to the season for the Whitecaps, as we've mentioned. But that is not it for the Whitecaps chat. We've got more to come in the final part. We've got one more interview to bring you. We get a chance to chat with new Whitecap winger Emmanuel Sabi for the first time, and we will bring you that after a special song that is going to explain a few things for long-time listeners.
Hi, I'm Emmanuel Sabi, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. We're so glad you could attend. Come inside, come inside. There behind the glass stands a real blade of grass. Be careful as you pass. Move along, move along. Come inside, the show's about to start. Guaranteed to blow your head apart. Rest assured, you'll get your money's worth. Really show, it happened out, and you gotta see the show. It's a dynamo, you gotta see the show. It's rock and roll, oh, right before your eyes. People laughed up from the skies, and he laughs until he cries, and he dies, and he dies. Come inside, the show's about to start.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, we've gone all the way back to 1973. English prog rock band Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And that's a song taken from their album Brain Salad Surgery. Folk have been asking me, what's with the introduction that you do to the show, the welcome back my friends to the show that never ends? Well, it's lines taken from that very song that you've just heard, Carn Evil 9, First Impression. It's part of 3 movements in a 4-song suite that you can find on that album. So I thought, I was waiting for the time to play it when we maybe were only playing 1 song from our album of the month, so I've done just that. Hopefully that will now explain. I can give you a little bit more context to our introduction. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. We're so glad you could attend. Come inside. Come inside. But enough of the prog rock, let us get back into the football chat for this final part. Back to some more Whitecaps chat and another interview that we're going to bring you this episode. We're really spoiling you with the interviews. And on Tuesday, it was officially announced after a few days of rumours that forward Emmanuel Sabbi was joining the Whitecaps from French Ligue 1 side Le Havre. The 27-year-old American coming back to North America to play pro for the first time in his career after going over to Spain at an early age, playing pro in Denmark and France and clocking up over 200 appearances overall in European football. So what was behind the move to come back to North America to join the Whitecaps and come to Major League Soccer for the first time in his career? Well, I got a chance to speak to Emmanuel at Whitecaps training on Wednesday up at UBC to talk about all of that and a lot more. So go grab another hot beverage if you want, another biscuit. Here's our first ever chat with new Whitecaps winger Emmanuel Sabbi. So Emmanuel, welcome to Vancouver, first of all. It's the first time that you're going to have played outside of Europe. What was behind your decision to come back to North America, and why the Whitecaps in particular?
I think my decision definitely came from the welcoming talk that we had with the coach and the staff. Really believed in me and gave me the decision to come here. I think it's good for me in my career right now, and I'm just looking to provide to the team the best way I can.
Now, obviously 6-7 years over in Denmark, I'm sure you've crossed paths with Jesper on the other side of the pitch. Did that play a big role into it, like Jesper knowing you specifically as a player? Yeah, definitely. I played against him many times. Great coach, team that he had in Denmark, Brøndby. Was a great, fantastic team moving the ball, getting in behind, so I know a little bit about, how he wants to play, how he, looks at the game. So it made it easy for me to make the decision to come here. Now, just looking at what you've done so far, you've had a very interesting journey because obviously you moved to the US at an early age. What age were you when you guys first came over to the US? I was 5. 5, okay. Yes. And then, coming through the system there out in Ohio, and then you had the chance to go to Akron. What was behind then going over to Europe? And was that always your dream to go and play over in Europe? Yeah, definitely always my dream. I mean, I come from Italy. I was born there, so all we really knew was football. And coming to America definitely gave me the academical side, the education for my brothers and I and my sister. And I think the final decision was also where my dream lies, and that lied in playing in Europe. And I got to fulfill that dream and played many years in Europe and decided to transition and come here. So going to Denmark, that's also a little odd place to land, I guess, for some people, but I'm from Scotland, so it's very much like Scotland. It's a passionate country. It's a small country, but they do really well. Yeah. How did you enjoy your time there? And how did that shape you to be the player that you are now? I definitely enjoyed my time there. It grew me as a player. I came into my Denmark years as a little boy, and it definitely grew me. The coaches I had there, the teams I played there, definitely grew me as a player and as a man. And I think I left a good mark in Denmark, and wanted to continue going with my dream, so transferred to France. Yeah. So the time at Le Havre, I mean, obviously I can only go with the stats. So it's you weren't as productive there as, say, Denmark. Speaking to Jadon about his time when he went to Germany, he felt it was maybe not the best move for him, and you didn't see the best of Jadon in Germany. Would you feel kind of similar to that for you? Did we see the real Emmanuel when you were at Le Havre? At Le Havre was a little bit different, of course, going into the top 5 leagues. I knew exactly what the difficulties would be, and me, I'm an opportunist. I go for
whatever comes to my head, and I try to succeed there. And it was a difficult time, but also it showed the grit I have in me, and continue to pull out the games that we played and the years I was there.
Now, coming here now, how much have you seen of MLS in the last couple of years? Because it's so different even from when you were living here. It's like the league's changed so much.
The league has definitely grown. It made me also understand that football has grown in America, and that's what we want. Being in the U.S. national team, we always talk about the growth in football in America and letting everyone know that America is not just other multiple sport nation, that we also play football and we play good football here. So it made it easy for me to come to MLS.
I like that you call it football, so that's a good thing to start with. So for folk that haven't seen you, what can we expect from you on the pitch in a Whitecaps jersey?
Aggressivity, skill, pace, the eagerness to get in behind, the eagerness to score, assist my teammates, and obviously hard work. That's kind of been my background, just hard work and continue going forward.
And you can play across the whole front positions. Do you have a favourite side? Do you have a favourite position that you like?
My career, I've played more as a winger and as a 10, but hey, whatever the team needs, I'm there.
And how's the integration going? Because obviously you're one of the last guys to come into camp. With like Brian and Ryan and Jaden and yourself, that should be quite an exciting front four by the looks of it.
Yeah, the team has welcomed me great. Great welcome here. The guys are a good group of lads. We talk all the time. I know I've been here for a short amount of period, but it feels like I've been here for a while, and I appreciate that, definitely, and can't wait to show Vancouver what we have.
So, the tough start to the season, like you've got Champions Cup action, so like Saprissa, it's a whole different environment as well, and then you've got a tough league start with Portland and LA. How ready from what you've seen do you feel the team are for these games, because they're coming up fast?
Yeah, I think we're ready. I saw that our team had a good preseason in Spain, and it came through to come back to Vancouver and start getting ready here, and I think we're definitely good and definitely ready for the upcoming matches.
And you've won cap so far for the US. Is that kind of in your mind as well, coming here, seeing what you can do here with the World Cup coming to North America next year?
Yeah, definitely a dream to play for the US. Got one cap, and I'm looking for more, so I'm definitely hungry.
Welcome to Vancouver.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you here. Can't wait to see you on the pitch.
Thank you. Appreciate
it. Thanks so much. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Emmanuel Sabi there, an exciting front line the Whitecaps are putting together, and if they can add Daniel Rios to that attack as well, then it's even stronger than it's looking just now. Be interesting to kind of see how it all slots in. I think we can be pretty sure that Jesper is going to use his squad, rotate a lot over the course of the season. All these guys will get their chance, whether as starters, whether off the bench. And there was no confirmation of what the Whitecaps did pay Le Havre for Emmanuel Sabi. The rumours last week were it was going to be round about €1 million. He has signed a contract through to the end of the 2027 season with a club option for 2028. And when you're spending that money on a player, you do have to wonder, is he coming in just to be a fringe guy? Got my first look at him on the pitch at training on Wednesday, and he looks sharp, he looks keen. He was linking up well with Goldie, White, Jaden Nelson, and it is going to give Jesper Sorensen a few exciting options on the wing positions. Sabi there mentioned that he can play on either wing, he can play through the middle, he can play as a 10. So we'll see how he does. And we touched on it there, he's come into the Whitecaps after a fairly decent spell at Le Havre. It maybe didn't produce the goals if you're just looking at the stats. But you've also got to remember, as he mentioned there, it's a top 5 league. It's a big uptick in quality from playing in the Danish league. And MLS, for as much as it has grown in recent years, it's not up there with the French league just now, so that will be a little bit of a drop down. Can he rekindle the form that he brought in Denmark, the form that Jesper Sorensen liked and played a role in him coming here to Vancouver? Well, we won't have to wait long to find out, with the action getting underway on Thursday and then Sunday for the Whitecaps. And of course, we found out a lot there about Emmanuel Sabe. We've still got one thing to find out. Does Emmanuel Sabe fancy a chocolate digestive?
Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive, even though it sounds suggestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive?
And we do this with all the new guys. You're not a Whitecap till you've done this on our show. So if you're sitting at home and you want to have a hot beverage, it's morning or mid-afternoon, do you go for a tea, a coffee, something else?
Coffee.
And do you have a sweet tooth? Do you like to have a treat with your coffee?
Yeah, definitely.
What would be your treat of choice?
More chocolate like. Yeah.
Any
definitely.
particular kind, or?
Not really, honestly. Just milk chocolate usually.
I've got a sweet tooth as well, which I just broke my tooth last night, which is for that. So.
Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive?
So half of the section achieved there. Fancies the chocolate, maybe not the digestive part. He's probably never had a chocolate digestive, to be fair. I probably should start bringing these along to training when I'm doing these segments with the guys. But that is it for the Whitecaps chat. It's nearly it for the show, but of course we can't finish without bringing you this episode's Wavelength. For any new listeners, Wavelength is the section of the show where we play a song all about football. Could be by a band, an artist, a football team, footballer themselves. The key to it all is it's got to be all about, or at least connected to football. And for this episode, we're going to bring you a song from the band that are the artists for this month's Album of the Month, from Stourbridge in the West Midlands. Pop will eat itself. And I mentioned they've got a couple of football-themed songs, so I'm going to play them this episode and next episode. This one comes from 1990. It was a song that gave them one of their biggest chart hits, reaching number 28 in the UK singles charts, and it was released for the 1990 World Cup in Italy. There's a couple of versions of it. The longer album version, I'm going to play you the shorter single version. I've got the CD single of this, and there's a nice sticker on it that claims it's the unofficial World Cup theme, and it's a song all about Hungarian-Italian porn actress Ilona Stolar, also known as Cicciolina. Lots of football samples in the song as well. So here's Pop Will Eat Itself, Touched by the Hand of Cicciolina. pop will eat itself from May 1990, Touched by the Hand of Chicholina. You can find that on their album Cure for Sanity. And we'll have another football-themed song from PWEI in the next show. But that is it for this show. We'll wrap it up now. Give Zach a follow on Twitter at ZacharyAM, on Blue Sky as ZacharyAM as well. You can find me on Twitter, AFTN Canada, AFTN on Blue Sky. Give us a follow on YouTube, where all the podcasts are also available now. AFTN Canada on YouTube. We're AFTN Soccer on Instagram. I know it's a mishmash of different handles, but that's where you can find all of our stuff. We'll be back next time as this season gets underway for the Whitecaps in league and cup action. We're going to have a lot to talk about. You won't want to miss that. Until then, thanks for listening. Take care, and as always, Mon the Caps!
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers, away from the numbers.